Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX burst onto the competitive scene when it was released in the Destined Rivals expansion, taking 4 of the top 16 spots at Champions League's Aichi and being the second most played deck at NAIC, boasting a 12.5% play rate. But now it feels like Marnie's Grimmsnarl has kind of fallen off. It had a sub 5% play rate at the World Championships and hasn't made top cut since Piper Lapine's run at NAIC. I've looked into it, and I think I can tell you why.
Both players see the writing on the wall here, Farah, in the finals!
So why has Grimmsnarl EX struggled so much in the metagame? You would think a Dark-type deck would dominate a metagame that is run by the Dark Weak Gardevoir EX, but that just hasn't been the case. Was Grimmsnarl EX just all hype when it came out, or has the metagame and strategies evolved since then? Let's break it all down and try and figure out why this deck has disappeared from the meta, and if it can rise to become a tier 1 deck once again. One of the major weaknesses that Grimmsnarl has is that it lacks a proper consistency engine. Decks like Dragapult EX, Gholdengo, or even Raging Bolt have cards like Dracloak, Gholdengo EX, or Noctowl that help them find cards and advance their strategies while also being consistent at all stages of the game. Grimmsnarl instead has to rely on a traditional supporter engine, which means it lacks that potential for explosive turns where you play a lot of cards, and also is very susceptible to disruption in the late game from cards such as Iono. The deck also struggles to incorporate Fezandipiti EX, which is a staple support Pokemon in almost every deck in the format. Due to the deck playing a low count of Nest Ball and Ultra Ball, it's very difficult to find Fezandipiti on the turn you need it. Also, the deck has Frostlass, which is a double-edged sword. Not only does it help you put damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon and knock them out between turns, but your opponent can flip the script on you and have your Grimmsnarl get knocked out by Freezing Shroud coming into your turn. This means that you did not get knocked out by damage, and then you could not use Fezandipiti EX. The next thing to talk about is how other decks were built to beat Grimmsnarl, and how Grimmsnarl's kind of gotten caught in the crossfire of how decks are being built to counter the metagame at large. First off, let's talk about Monkey Dory. This card is core to the Grimmsnarl strategy, but it's also very strong against Grimmsnarl. Monkey Dory can delay TM Devolution turns, it can delay knockouts, but it can also be used by opponents to knock out Grimmsnarl and our own Monkey Dorys more easily. A lot of the top meta decks, such as Gardevoir EX, Dragapult EX, and Gholdengo, all pack a Monkey Dory or two. Then there are also other decks such as Zoroark EX and Charizard EX that also play their own Monkey Dory. Picnic Basket was also seeing a lot of playing Gholdengo decks. Not only counter Grimmsnarl, but it also counters Dragapult and Gardevoir. At the Pokemon World Championship, over 50% of Gholdengo players were playing at least one copy of the card. It has since fallen off in traditional Gholdengo builds, but the new Lunatone and Solrock version is bringing the card back. That version doesn't play Monkey Dory, but is still annoying for Grimmsnarl to deal with Picnic Basket. There are also cards like TM Devolution seen playing Gardevoir EX, mainly to target Gholdengo decks, but it also collaterals Grimmsnarl. It presents a new strategy for Gardevoir players to use against Grimmsnarl and can be particularly nasty when combined with the item lock from Jellicent EX. Raging Bolt players have included Chien-Pao in their deck to help clean up their bench, discarding cards like Noctowl and Fanrotom before Frostlass has the chance to take them out with Freezing Shroud. A lot of these tech cards that are seeing play aren't being played to specifically counter Grimmsnarl, but instead are good against the metagame at large, which means they probably won't decrease in play anytime soon. Which is a problem for Grimmsnarl, as it means it has a slightly worse matchup into some of these popular decks. One of the most under-the-radar reasons I think Grimmsnarl is struggling is that players have learned how to play against it much better. Frostlass is amazing at punishing players who mismanage their bench, allowing Freezing Shroud to wreak havoc on their boards. Other players would also have trouble deciding if they needed to target Frostlass, Monkey Dory, or the Grimmsnarl itself. Pro players understand how to play this matchup very well, exploiting the weaknesses of the deck and not playing into Frostlass's hands. When the deck was brand new, a lot of players were still learning the matchup, but now it feels like most players have a solid game plan into it. Finally, let's talk about the biggest problem for Grimmsnarl, the Gholdengo matchup. There's no sugarcoating it, this matchup is not good. Gholdengo EX puts on so much pressure and very quickly, and with a high count of boss's orders, it's very easy for them to take out your Frostlass. Without Frostlass, you just do not trade well with Gholdengo. They can very easily knock out Marnie's Grimmsnarl in one attack, while you need to consistently produce a stage 2 Pokemon that can't one-shot them back. There are definitely some cards you can include in your list to try and make this matchup better, but the opportunity cost of cutting cards from an already tight list is pretty high. You can play a thicker Frostlass line, you can play a retreat locking Pokemon like Yveltal and Maractus, or you can play Blood Moon Ursaluna EX. These cards all help, but I still don't think it pushes the matchup past 50-50 for you. Marnie's Grimmsnarl EX is one of my favorite decks, and I tried desperately to make a list that would work for the World Championship, but being unable to solve the Gholdengo matchup is ultimately why I left it on the bench. This matchup is going to continue to be a major pain point for Grimmsnarl, as I can't see Gholdengo EX leaving the meta anytime soon. The new Mega Evolution expansion released Solrock and Lunatone, a couple of tools that will help Gholdengo continue its popularity. If you want to take Grimmsnarl to a tournament, I think it's super important that you learn how to play this matchup to the best of your ability. Even though it is unfavored, if you play really well, you can definitely pick up some wins into it. Alright, so I spent the entire video up until now telling you why Grimmsnarl is struggling, but I actually think things could change in the positive direction for Grimmsnarl with the release of the newest Mega Evolution expansion. Grimmsnarl is one of the decks that benefits the most with Lily's Determination. Up until now, the deck has had to rely on Professor's Research as its best draw supporter, but sometimes you would discard cards you don't want to get rid of that would lead to awkward game states later down the road. For example, if you have to discard your TM Devolution, you can't really go for that as a strategy anymore. Sometimes you have to discard Super Rod or Night Stretcher, which means you have to be much more careful with your energies or your Grimmsnarl pieces, or sometimes you just discard other supporters that would be really helpful for you to have in the late game. Now with the Lily's Determination, you can have much cleaner hands since you don't have to discard cards in the early game, and drawing 8 cards is a huge buff for the deck. You still should probably play a copy or two of Professor's Research since it's a very powerful card, but Lily's Determination slots in perfectly alongside the other supporters. There's also the new Yveltal, which offers retreat locking on a free retreat Pokemon. It's still to be seen if that's better than Maractus since the latter can build damage on itself due to having an ability, but it's definitely another tool for the deck to try and utilize. We also might see Charizard EX go up in mana percentage, which has been historically a good matchup for Grimmsnarl. That deck got Psyduck, so it has an easier time dealing with Poltnor, which I think might lead to it seeing a lot more play. In Japan, Grimmsnarl is already seeing a little bit of a resurgence. It took 4 of the top 16 spots at Champions League Yokohama, kind of reminiscent of its initial run at Champions League Aichi. While I don't think Grimmsnarl is going to rise to Tier 1 status again, I do think the deck is a bit underplayed right now, and in the hands of a strong pilot can definitely compete for top cut at a major. Grimmsnarl EX has always been one of my favorite decks, so I'm really hoping that it can rise to contender status once again. Hopefully you enjoyed that new style of video today. Let me know which deck I should cover next. Not maybe just a deck that has fallen out of the meta, but maybe I can even start covering decks that have gone on the rise. If you want to support me, make sure to like and subscribe. I post a lot of educational Pokemon TCG content that aims to make you a better player. If you want to support me even further, consider checking out my Metafy. I offer group classes once a week, a Discord server where I answer all of your questions, and post all of my most up-to-date deck list. If you're looking for new sleeves, check out Endgame TCG. If you're watching this video in the first few days it comes out, they're running a buy one get one free promo right now, and you can use code Ciaran to get 10% off your order. Otherwise, thanks for watching my video, and best of luck in all your games.